Om Shanti. Good evening. All of us are aware that Baba teaches us 4 subjects: knowledge, yoga, dharana, and service. Each subject has its own importance, and so the subject of service has a lot of significance in Baba's study. It is through service that we are able to create our fortune, and it is through service that we are able to reach out, giving message to the souls of the world. We can do service on 4 levels: self-service, service through the words, service, physical service, which is called Karma Yoga, Yagya service, and fourthly, service through the mind. According to the present time, even though sometimes we cannot reach out to people to give Baba's message, even though we cannot reach out to people to express our feelings of love for them, giving cooperation to them, but we can still use the power of our mind to do that kind of service wherever we may be. Service through the mind can also be done in many ways. Of course, first of all, I have to serve my mind. No, in Hindi, we call it Mansa Seva. When I serve my mind will serve others' mind. If I have not served my mind cannot become an instrument to serve others. And what it means to do that kind of Mansa Seva is to keep my mind free from any waste thoughts. Whether it is about myself or whether it is about others. Because any form of waste is a leakage. When I have leakage in my mind, I cannot allow any good thoughts, any pure thoughts, any powerful thoughts to reach out. I remember once Dadi Janki was giving an example. Say, for example, you are traveling in a boat. So the boat can take you across as long as it is floating on the water. But by mistake, by chance, if there is a hole in the boat, and if the water starts to come into the boat, what will happen? You cannot reach the other end. You will get drowned wherever you are. So same thing happens. I want to send good wishes to others. I want to give my pure feelings to others. I want to give light and might to others. I want to give current. But if there is leakage in my own mind, it will not even reach to myself, let alone others. So first of all, let us prepare our mind. Make it an instrument to serve others' mind. And for that, we have to make sure my mind is totally free from waste thoughts, not even in the form of trace. And my intellect is very, very clean and clear. Because it is through these two instruments we are able to reach out to other people's mind and heal, give them power, give them courage without talking a single word. As I said, the service through the mind can be done on different levels. By having good wishes and pure feelings, like for example, say Dirverbai is going through operation on Thursday morning, and we all love him very much. We want to give our, express our love through having well-wishing thoughts. Instead of writing a card, get well soon, but we send our good wishes so that the power of those thoughts reach out and make difficult things easy. So one way of serving is through good wishes and pure thoughts. And secondly, by being a lighthouse, just by being a lighthouse, embodiment of light, just like Brahma Baba was. Being in one place, he was serving the souls of the whole world. Many times we have heard that when Baba was in Sakar, he was invoking all the double foreigners through his thought. And most of the double foreigners are born through the power of Brahma Baba's thoughts. And that is why even today, when you look at Brahma Baba's photo, you have a special love for him because you have been created, conceived when he was in the Sakar, but only took birth after he became Avyakt. So there is a deep connection through the power of thought. And then another level of serving, even more subtle, is what we call through Sakash. 1 year, Baba gave many levels of serving through Sakash. So it is the highest form of mental service. Serving through Sakash. So the word Sakash is a beautiful word in Hindi. It cannot be translated accurately. Sometimes we call it as spiritual radiation. It is like without dissecting, without opening anything, you can reach out to the soul and heal the soul's pain in an incognito way, in a very subtle way. It is like laser. The laser travels very fast and reach out to distant places. But of course, if the laser, if there is any obstruction, then it cannot reach out. So our thoughts have a wonderful power actually. We have to make use of the power of thought. So one definition, I would say, for Sakash. What is Sakash? Sakash is combined with Prakash. Prakash means light. Sakash cannot be without Prakash. So I would say that it is a subtle, powerful current of light and might that contains all powers and all virtues of the soul. That is one definition we can think about. And also, Sakash can be defined as God's unconditional, pure feelings of power filled with spiritual love in the form of rays of light. So Sakash is rays of light, rays of God's light, filled with spiritual love and power, which penetrates into the soul. Sakash cannot be without God's power. It is a combination of soul power and God's power. Another definition I thought for Sakash was it is a pure, powerful energy that is transmitted through pure feelings, either through the intellect or through the eyes. Sometimes you can give Sakash that special rays of light filled with God's might to souls who are in front of you. Sakash can be given to the people who is in front of you also, but Sakash can be given to anyone in any part of the world through your intellect, through your thoughts. So there are two ways of giving Sakash. But before understanding what it means to receive Sakash, what dharana, what inculcation I need to have in order to receive Sakash, I need to understand what are the characteristics. How do you know you are receiving Sakash? Sometimes we do feel good wishes, pure feelings from other souls. It comes in the form of blessings. But Sakash is more than that, because Sakash has the healing power. One example I can give you practically. I think many of you don't know one of the Yajna original souls, Vishwakishore Dada, who was Baba's right hand. In 1968, he got very sick. So he was sent to Bombay for medical, treatment. And when he was in the hospital, one night Baba got the call from Bombay hospital that Dada was not able to sleep whole night because he was in great pain. So Baba woke up whole night, Sakar Baba, and gave Sakash to Dada Vishwakishore. That means Baba was sending special rays of light filled with God's love, God's might. So, it was like penetrating the soul to such an extent that he was able to become detached from the body and he could sleep next morning, Baba got the news that Dada was able to sleep well. So which means it's a practical proof that Sakash has the characteristic of healing. Healing not just the pain. No, sometimes there is a lot of sorrow when there is earthquake, when there are floods, when there are people become victim. They don't want anything but, that mental shock, that sorrow, that shock, the trauma that they are going through. They need Sakash. So if I cannot do anything, that is why Dadi Gulzar was saying the other day, when we hear the news, this happened here, that happened here, it is not necessary to open the television and watch what is happening. I am not doing anything actually. I am making my stage even fluctuate by looking at those scenes. So what I need to do at that time is to go within, become introvert, and connect myself with Baba, take that power, because I cannot become an instrument to give Sakash if I am not filled with God's light and might. So once I am filled with that, then I am able to, transmit those God's light and might to souls around the world. No, I am not able to identify where it is reaching, whom it is reaching, but I just be on the unlimited. So sometimes I consider it as satellite transmission. Satellite transmission, how we get Bap Dada online? It is a satellite transmission, isn't it? Baba speaks in Shantivan and it goes to one place. From there it is transmitted. So I just need to go on the unlimited, connect myself with Baba, with the satellite, and allow that rays from Baba, God's power, God's virtues, God's light, might to reach out to the souls. So whoever receives the Sakash, they feel that God is giving them power. God is giving me cooperation. So they don't remember you or anybody. And so they feel difficulties becoming easy, impossible becoming possible. So they will have hope in their life. They get energy to face the difficulties. So this is why it is very important that I remain on the unlimited if I want to become an instrument to give God's light and might, Sakash, to others. And also another interesting experience you can have if you are receiving Sakash, there is a sudden spiritual lift. You may have to make a lot of effort to get that experience on the basis of your effort. But when there is Sakash, it is a magnetic, electric pull, sudden, which lifts you beyond. And, it is like if you touch the electricity, physical, current, one splits of a second when it goes into the body, what happens? It throws you away from that, isn't it? But here, when you are receiving Sakash, you get pulled like a magnet to the iron. So when I have such experience, suddenly, it can happen anytime. Not necessarily you are sitting in yoga, at that time it will happen. No. You may be doing some physical work, you may be engaged in some mundane activities, whatever. But when I get that Sakash, I should catch it. Sometimes we avoid. We are busy doing physical work and we say, okay, I will finish this work and then I will sit in meditation. But you don't get that lift afterwards. So when I have that kind of pull, magnetic pull towards Baba, I should know that is the time Baba is remembering me. There are two ways. One is I remember Baba. The other is Baba remembers me. So when Baba remembers me, how do I feel? It's so different. When I remember Baba, it is like climbing the ladder, step by step. But when Baba remembers me, it is like an instant magnetic pull, Sakash, that pulling me. So that's another experience we can connect with the experience of receiving Sakash. And also, like you feel, sometimes a kind of canopy around me, a kind of protection in a time of danger, in a time of a difficult situation. The receiving of Sakash is like some guardian angel around me. Suddenly there is a canopy. There is a feeling of calm. So that is the time I know this special rays of light and might are reaching out to me. And of course, another experience we can also relate to is a kind of, aura surrounding you. So you may not be able to see that, but others can feel that aura. So which is again the reaching of that subtle light and might. So in essence, this is what we can say. Sakash is a special rays of light and might filled with God's current, God's love, God's protection, God's blessings. It is not something you can get by asking for it. I need to become worthy to receive Sakash. So what are some of the dharana I need to have in order to receive Sakash? Because as I said, even blessings also Baba says, you don't need to ask Baba to give you blessing. You should become worthy to receive. So same thing with Sakash also. So if I want to receive Sakash, so first of all I have to prepare my mind. My mind free from all kinds of waste. My mind free from all kinds of negative thoughts, unnecessary thoughts, ordinary thoughts. Just pure, powerful thoughts. My intellect has to be very, very divine, clean, and crystal clear. Because it is the intellect that receives Sakash. Baba is the intellect of all intellectuals. Baba is the wisdom of wise. So when he sends Sakash, I should be able to receive. So my intellect has to be very, very clear and crystal clear. And the intellect has to be free from any kind of influence. Because if there is any kind of influence on my intellect, I cannot allow God's influence on my intellect. So that means I must avoid Manmat, Parmat, and follow Srimat constantly. And I have to make sure there is no attraction towards anything mundane, whether bodily relationships. That is why there is a difference between having good wishes and pure wishes. Good wishes you can have for people whom you like, people who are related to you, but good wishes means it is free from selfish motive. So if I want to receive Sakash, I have to be beyond selfishness, selfish motive. I need to be totally selfless. And also, the intellect has to be totally surrendered. The consciousness of I and mine doesn't exist. Totally surrendered. And there should be total honesty. Because it is honesty, truthfulness that attracts God towards itself. And also, I need to have a stage in which I am totally merged, immersed in the love of Baba. All relationships, all attainments from one Baba. So when I have such dharana, my intellect is ready to be receptive, to receive that special rays of light and might. When God is remembering me, actually receiving Sakash is another way of understanding God is remembering me. You can just imagine God is one. Everyone remembers him, but if he remembers me, that is great. And he remembers means he senses Sakash, special rays filled with light and might and love, so that I am able to experience myself uplifted from where I am instantly towards himself. And once I am receiving Sakash, my experience will be all difficulties becomes easy. Anything that which is impossible becomes possible. Crucifix will become like a pinprick. When Dadi Gulsar went through this operation, cancer operation first time, after operation, doctor came to ask how, actually doctor did not ask. Dadi welcomed him saying, "Good morning, doctor, how are you?" So doctor was amazed. He asked her, "How are you feeling? Do you have any pain?" She said, "No. She just had operation last night, cancer operation, So, but he said, "You must have pain. I have gone through the operation. I know what it is like." She said, "No, I don't have pain." So how come she did not have pain? It was Baba's Sakash. That heals the pain. It makes it into crucifix, into pinprick. As if not even pinprick. In Dadi's case, it did not become even a cotton wool. It became like a flower. She never felt anything. So which means she has accumulated that power for God in her soul that attracted God towards, her to give that Sakash. So if I'm receiving Sakash, crucifix becomes like a pinprick, So even in pain, you don't feel sorrow. That is karmathi stage. Everybody will have pain. pain is inevitable. Sorrow is optional. Means body is body, isn't it? Whether it is Brahma Baba's body or Gulzar Dadi's body or our body, it is made up of the same 5 elements, and when we have sickness, we do the same pain. But the only difference is not to allow sorrow in pain. That is spirituality. That is yoga power. That is the proof of being detached and loving. So how many of us have that experience? Not feel sorrow while having pain. Then you don't need to have self-pity. Because some people want to show how much pain they have because they want people to have pity for them. When they feel, they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry you are having so much of pain." They feel good about it. Others are showing me some kind of mercy. It is not mercy actually. It's pity. So Dadi never felt any pain, no sorrow. Why? Because they had accumulated so much of yoga power that they are able to go beyond. So that is why don't try to practice bodiless stage when your body is suffering. You cannot. How can you become bodiless when the body is, drawing attention towards itself? But you need to practice bodiless stage when your body is well. When your body is healthy, accumulate the power of bodiless stage. And that is going to rescue you when you are in physical ailments. This is what Bap Dada said about Dadi Gulzar. She was able to go beyond pain, no sorrow, because of 2 reasons. One, because of her experience of bodiless stage. Bap Dada comes in her body. So many hours Baba sits in her body, so she is bodiless. Because she don't have the awareness of her body. Baba is using her body. And she consciously also practices bodiless stage when Baba is not there. And second reason is blessings of being obedient. Because obedience in Brahmin life also allows us to accumulate blessings. So when we have accumulated blessings, and when we have the practice of being bodiless, we have accumulated energy. So we can give Sakash also, we can receive Sakash also. Yeah? To receive Sakash, it is very important that I accumulate so much of blessings. And how do we know somebody gives blessings to us? When you do something that makes other people happy, and when they are pleased, what words comes from their mouth? Thank you so much. So that feeling of thanks emerging from the heart of souls for your charitable action turns as blessings for you. To help someone when they are in need out of your sacrifice also brings blessings. So one is to receive Sakash. So a life in which we receive Sakash from Baba, from the seniors, from the Brahmin family, our Brahmin life is no more a life of labor. It's only a life of love. So that is why we need to check ourselves and see how much percentage I live my Brahmin life on the basis of my effort, and how much percentage I live my Brahmin life on the basis of blessings. Yeah? So once you have accumulated blessings, good wishes, Sakash from Baba, seniors, your life is no more life of labor. It's only life of love. Now the other aspect is how to give Sakash. So we can also become instrument to give Sakash to others. But of course, first of all, I have to go beyond the consciousness I am giving. If you are having the thought, I am giving Sakash, you are not. Just like the sun never thinks I am giving light. The day he will start thinking, I think he will not be able to give light anymore. So first thing, if I want to give Sakash, I have to go beyond the consciousness I am giving. I just be, that's all. Whoever need to receive, they will receive. You know, when the sun rises in the morning, the rays of sun spreads out. Whoever opens the door, they get the sunlight inside. Whoever closes the door, they shut the sunlight, that's all. The sun doesn't stop giving. So I need to be a bestower if I want to give Sakash, not just a giver, a bestower. What is the meaning of being a bestower? Only giving without expectation of receiving anything. One way. God is called bestower because he only gives, he don't take. But we souls give and take. And that is why we get tired of giving, because we are not receiving enough for what we give. But God never gets tired because he has only one way account, only credit, no debit. So if I want to give Sakash, I have to be a bestower. And how to become a bestower? I have to make sure I take from one and I give all. Never have the desire to take from another. The moment you have the thought of taking from another, you will always remain empty. Because to give Sakash, God's light and might in the form of rays, I have to be full and complete. You know, the moonlight attracts everyone towards itself, because when it is full moon, everybody's attention is drawn. The moon doesn't ask anyone to look at it. Others receive light automatically. So I have to keep myself full and complete. And that is why the method of remaining full is take from only one and give all. You will never ever become empty. Because the moment I feel I don't have something, I cannot become an instrument to give Sakash. You know, Sakash is like unlimited. You have everything. So I just be, and others receive whatever they want. It's like sometimes Dadi calls it as becoming a supermarket, where everything is available. Anyone who comes, they take what they want. So I need to be full and complete also. And also I have to make sure I am totally immersed, absorbed in God's love. That means unadulterated love, unadulterated relationship with Baba. Only one Baba and none other. It's only then my mind and intellect are quiet. Otherwise, my intellect is wandering. It is the intellect that becomes a transmitter to transmit Sakash. So when I become godlike, when I become full, complete, equal to God, so my intellect has the capacity to transmit. So I feel those who want to give and receive Sakash have to take care of their intellect. Because if the intellect is influenced, if the intellect is affected, if the intellect has duality, it cannot be an instrument. So take care of your intellect. It is the greatest asset. Faith also comes to the intellect. Doubt also comes in the intellect. It doesn't take long. When Maya comes also, it attacks the intellect only. Disconnect the intellect from Baba, then it begins to fight. So this is why I have to make sure my intellect is always unadulterated. Intellect is divine. But of course, I have to make sure intellect is always awake. It's the intellect that goes into sleep. And Baba comes to awaken the intellect. Now, what it means, the intellect going to sleep? What it means, the intellect going into sleep? Just like intellect is like a watchman, So sometimes we forget the awareness of the soul. So when I forget the awareness of the soul, I become body conscious. That is the time when my intellect is sleeping. That is the time the mind deceives the intellect and go and do the same action which I was doing before. So if you want to check whether your intellect is awakened, you can check on the basis of the consciousness, the awareness you have at any time. If you are aware of yourself as a soul, your intellect is awakened. And when your intellect is awakened, your power of decision making will be accurate. Why? Because you listen to your conscience. When the intellect is awake, you can listen to your conscience. And when you perform action on the basis of listening to your conscience, there is no regret. There is regret only when you suppress your conscience. So this is why to have a clear intellect means I do not have any regret. I do not suppress my conscience. I allow my conscience to dictate my intellect. When I allow my conscience to dictate my intellect is clean and clear, which means following Srimad. Conscience is the seat of truth. So when I'm following truth, the intellect is awakened. When I suppress my intellect, I know I'm following the falsehood. So this is why we should not allow the intellect to be affected. And intellect is always affected by the company that we keep. I remember Dadi Janki always says, take care of two things, food and company. Because food affects your mind, company affects your intellect. Even though you may be a very good person, having a very good, timetable, good character, but if you keep a wrong company, you are affected. Because bad things influence the intellect faster than the good things. So this is why if I want to become an instrument to give Sakash, I have to keep my intellect very clean and clear so it can transmit the vibrations, the feelings that I have, and it can travel like laser. See, having good wishes is power of knowledge. On the basis of power of knowledge, you can create good wishes for others. But on the basis of power of yoga, you can have pure feelings. So to give Sakash, I need to have power of yoga. Power of yoga means power of purity. Because purity and yoga go together. If there is anything lacking in the power of purity, my pure thoughts will not reach out. It will get lost somewhere. So this is why it is very important to give Sakash, I maintain total purity in my thoughts, words, actions, relationships, even in my dream. When there is the power of purity, my thoughts will travel like laser. It has no distance. It goes beyond any kind of limitation. And it's a beautiful experience that when I'm able to allow Baba to use me as an instrument for this kind of mental service. And the third important inculcation to give Sakash is also introversion and power of silence. Someone who is extrovert are already subservient to the sense organs, senses. So they are indulging already. So I cannot become an instrument. So if I want to allow my intellect to give Sakash, I have to make sure I am introvert, I am in solitude, and I am having the power of silence of the mind. If there is a chatter going on in my mind, I am fighting with myself, I am having conflict with myself, I cannot become an instrument to give Sakash. So I need to have a calm mind, a divine intellect, and spiritual personality. In essence, to give Sakash, I need to have a calm mind. Intellect divine means no duality in the intellect, and spirituality in my personality. That is purity in my personality. Spirituality is the other name for purity. In the world, people talk about spirituality, but they never connected it with purity, isn't it? But we understand spirituality is another name for purity. And so once I have these three things, I, the soul, I am ready to become God's instrument to give Sakash. So as I said, Sakash means it's the special rays of God's light, God's might. It is God's personality being transferred. I alone cannot say, I give Sakash. It is dual power. Soul power and God's power. That is yoga power also. Yoga power means dual power. And that is why it does work. So sometimes yoga power is translated as power of silence, power of pure thoughts, power of truth. It can be translated in many ways. But it is only when I have accumulated yoga power, I am able to give Sakash. So how much yoga I need to have during the day in order to accumulate yoga power? Minimum 8 hours. Of Of course, we need to remember Baba whole day. Baba never said become 8 hours yogi. Baba said become constant yogi. But still minimum 8 hours of yoga allows us to accumulate yoga power over a period of time. And when my yoga power is accumulated, it becomes volcanic. Automatically, Sakash reach out. When the volcano is erupted, the lava automatically spreads everywhere. So the vibrations of that volcanic yoga will reach out in the form of power, in the form of love, in the form of coolness, in the form of calmness, according to the need. But I need to increase my power of yoga. So when we talk about 8 hours of yoga, it doesn't mean sitting in one place. It means to be within the lines of code of conduct of yoga for 8 hours. There are 4 stages in yoga. If you can remain within these 4 stages during the day for 8 hours, that is called 8 hours of yoga chart. One is soul consciousness. Second is churning knowledge. Third is heart-to-heart communication with Baba. And fourth, seed stage. So if you can remain within these 4 lines for 8 hours during the day, that is accumulation of yoga power. But if I come to the 5th one, which is body consciousness, then I fall. So that is a chart I need to keep. Sometimes Baba says in the Sakar Murlis, check yourself, how many hours did you remember Baba? Accurately, within these 4 lines. Not every time you may be able to experience seed stage. Not every time you are able to experience becoming bodiless. But if you are within these 4 lines, you are safe. So the more power of yoga I accumulate, the more I become full, the vibrations reach out. But very important feeling is, I just need to be a bestower. I don't need to have any desire of wanting something. If I have the desire of wanting something for myself, then I cannot become an instrument to give. So that is why someone who is giving Sakash, you can feel that they are totally content, they are totally happy constantly, they are constantly full, and so automatically others receive from them as they are walking, as they are talking, even if they are not doing anything also, but they are giving. So let us take this inspiration this time before we go back to our places, that I will be a bestower. I will not want to take anything from anyone, but bestow. Remember the slogan, take from one and give all. Don't have the desire to take anything from anyone, because nobody has anything to give. Even if they give also, they give you what they have taken from Baba. Why not you go directly? In that way, we will always remain full. We will always remain complete. Then we will shine like a full moon. Just stay on the unlimited. Others receive. Go beyond this thought. I am giving. Like third Sunday, we have World Peace Hour, right? It is dedicated to give peace to the world. So what do we do on that day? Do we remember Africa, America, India? So I am not giving. Of course, for a second, I immerse the scene and I create a feeling of mercy and love for souls, and I merge that scene. And then I sit with Baba, the satellite. I connect with Baba and let Baba do the job. I don't feel I am giving. Only then others receive. The moment I think I am giving, others don't receive. So I have to go even beyond that thought and just be in the unlimited. So we have 1 hour today to experiment that. So let us experiment ourselves to be on the unlimited, being a bestower. Sit with Baba beyond and just draw that light and might from Baba and become full. And let those rays of light and might reach out to all souls in the whole world. Okay? Om Shanti.